Hello, my name is Corey Smith. This is my case study for Get This Child Out of My Classroom for EDL 853. Summarize, we have a student with a severe behavior disorder. We have a teacher who's at her wit's end, and we have a new SPED teacher who is not doing things the way the old SPED teacher did. And then we have a very rural district who the administration is not always at the school, which makes it for a unique case. Problem identification data analysis. What do I know? We have a child in trouble. Carl has a identified behavior disorder. We don't know exactly what that behavior disorder is. We know he was self-abusive, and now it has turned aggression towards teachers, not just Miss Taylor, but also other teachers. He threw some rocks at other teachers on the bus, or as the bus was leaving, and people are worried that he's going to turn this towards other students. We also know that his parents went through a really bad divorce 3 months prior, and there's still a lot of tension there between his parents. We have a very frustrated teacher as well, Miss Taylor, the veteran teacher. She just doesn't know what to do with Carl, and I don't blame her. It's a really difficult situation. It's not every day that a kid purposely sharpens a pencil and throws it at your head. She's just really, really at her wit's end, not knowing what to do because he's just disrupting day-to-day activities. And a new SPED teacher, Miss Green. Miss Green is fresh out of college, and she seems like she has wonderful intentions. And she's replacing somebody who was a great asset to the school and community prior. But knowing what we know before, Miss Taylor informed us that sometimes the previous teacher would just take problem kids out, put them in the detention room, and give them a workbook. Not always the best way to handle things. Best for everybody that way. What do we need to know? We need to know what's being done for Carl right now. Does Carl have any kind of counseling services? Is he being seen by a behavior specialist? Is he being seen by a psychologist or psychiatrist? Doesn't seem like he's on any medications, but I'd like to know that. His mom asked if we could give Carl his brother's Ritalin, which I wouldn't suggest, but we need to know if he's on any kind of medication. The next thing I'd like to know would be the resource room utilization. How often is it being used? How many kids are in there when it's being used? How big is it? What part of the school is it in? Those kind of things. And then the last thing I want to know is, are the parents willing? I know that Miss Taylor mentioned that the parents said we could do whatever we wanted to with Carl, but that's not really up to us. It's a group thing, and we really need to know if the parents are willing to work with us fully on what we're going to try to do. So let's go from there. What is the problem? We have a student in distress. His behavior is very alarming on its own, but now that he's turning it towards other people, it's extremely alarming because it's not just putting him in harm's way, it's putting other people in harm's way, and you never know when something like that could really, really go bad. We have a destitute teacher. She's just really in a bad spot. I know from a case this year with a kid that's on my caseload, his behavior was so poor that an English teacher in our room who was doing or in our school who was doing intervention literally walked to our principal's office and threatened to quit if the kid was not moved out of her room. So I understand how behavior can be really bad, but she's just really at her wit's end. And we have apathetic parents. The parents really are just stuck on what's going on. The mom now has to have a job and work a lot to support her kids, and it doesn't seem like the husband takes the kids that often from a comment the mother made. They seem just very stuck in what's going on, and it's understandable. They have two other siblings that at the same time have emotional problems as well, and then this divorce proceeding and all the stuff going on, especially in a small community like that, can just completely compound things, and they just seem very apathetic towards everything that's going on. The plan of action. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Ms. Green to start an FBA because we need to get a functional behavior analysis started, which really doesn't take too terribly long to get it started. And that way we can get moving on to a behavior intervention plan. Getting his BIP in place is going to be really, really important, but can't write a BIP until you get an FBA. I've seen that throughout my special ed careers and misconceptions that we can just write a behavior intervention plan. And that's not the case. You got to have an FBA in place. I would meet with Miss Taylor and Miss Green together, alone, just those two together, and try to provide them with some support in saying that I'm behind both of them. I understand from both their point of view what's going on. We need to lay out the expectations as a group about what we want to bring to the IEP meeting when we have it. We definitely need to sit down with the parents, have an IEP meeting, get permission for the FBA, move forward with that, lay out a plan temporarily that we have right now, and put some behavior goals in his IEP. And but we, Miss Green, Miss Taylor, and myself all need to be on the same page before we go into that room. No surprises. That's the worst thing in the world as a teacher, is you have a surprise from your principal about something you didn't talk about or agreed upon previously, and then they come in and change it. Really puts you in a bad spot as a teacher, and as an administrator, I would not want to do that. The next thing we want to do is in our plan, we're going to remove Carl from the classroom at the first sign of aggression. Ms. Green had already contacted the special ed advisor for the district, and that's what she said, was devise a plan to remove Carl. She didn't say remove him right away, but we're going to remove Carl from the classroom at the first sign of aggression, whether it be towards itself, towards the teacher, or towards another student. And Miss Green, unfortunately, will be the one tasked with taking Carl to a place, probably the resource room, because I'm sure she's going to have other students that are she's going to have to tend to at the time. But Carl's going to have to be put in a place where Carl can be allowed to calm down. We don't know what that's going to require for Carl. If he already self-abuses himself, he can't be left alone. He could hurt himself. We don't want to try to corner him off and make him feel like he's completely isolated, but at the same time, he's got to be able to stay away from harming himself and harming other people. The next thing I'm going to do for sure is I'm going to try to contact the social worker about counseling options. What do we have? I know I would be busy, but this is a situation, it seems like in a small school things don't happen like this often. And we'd have to put some resources towards figuring out what outside services are available, what kind of counseling options are available, what's available to Carl because he has a disability through the state or through the local services. There could be something around in a rural area that's available. We just really got to find those things out. And from there, hopefully that would get us rolling on everything we need to do. Starting this plan of action should get us where we need. Got an FBA started, working towards BIP. Got all three people on the same page as far as Ms. Taylor, Ms. Green, and ourselves. We can control that. We can't control what the parents say. We're going to remove Carl, put him in a position that's going to allow him to calm down, maybe think about some things. He's just an elementary kid. We can't ask him to perform miracles. He's already got a behavior disorder that's not going to be easily fixed. And then we're going to contact the social worker or an outside service that's going to deal in these kind of things. And then we're going to get all this started and get it all in place as fast as we possibly can. How do we resolve the issue and promote the success of all students? Well, removing Carl from the classroom is going to help Carl be successful. I'm sure Carl has some anxiety about being in the classroom and his behavior drawing all that attention. It probably just compounds it. It's like pouring gasoline on a fire. I'm sure that part just completely compounds Carl's stress and his anxiety and his anger. So we're going to remove him from that situation to allow him to hopefully calm down and deal with his things faster. The second thing I think we make the other students successful is because if we can remove Carl from the classroom, it's going to hopefully settle their fear down that they're not going to be in danger. The longer a kid stays in a room, having a tantrum or destroying things, the more scared kids get. And elementary school kids, you never know what they're dealing with at home. You never know how they're going to react. You never know what kind of consequences are going to come from that. So by removing him, we're also promoting the success of the other students. And number three, I think by removing Carl from the classroom and allowing the other students to stay in their classroom, hopefully without fear or distraction, we're allowing Miss Taylor to focus on her class as she should, which is also promoting the success of students because they're getting hopefully back to normal and getting the things that they need. And Ms. Taylor's going to be able on a daily basis to feel confident that somebody's behind her, helping remove the distraction in Carl's behavior and allowing her to go on about her job and do what she does best. What am I thinking, feeling, and valuing? I'm thinking it's a sad situation for everybody involved, especially Carl. Um, it's bad for his parents because it seems like they have multiple children with multiple issues, and things are not getting any better. And in a rural area like that, everybody knows about it. It compounds the problem. It's just not a good thing. It's just really, really bad for everybody. Um, I feel terrible for everybody, especially the student, because he's too young and he's just left at everybody's mercy. I feel bad for Miss Taylor because she is not being able to concentrate on the job that she's supposed to be concentrating on. I feel bad for Miss Green because she's trying to follow up somebody who was perceived as fixing the problems, and Miss Green seems to have a new, different idea about how things should be done. Hopefully, keeping Carl where he can be successful as well as everybody else. And I think I'm valuing the students and the teachers by trying to remove Carl when he's having poor behavior, allowing them to go back, things to go back to normal, allowing Miss Green to be able to go in and actually kind of say do what she does best or do her job about dealing with student behavior, possibly even being able to teach him some skills and teach him maybe even some academics. Unfortunately for us sped teachers, a lot of times we're spent on so much behavior, it's really, really hard to teach the kids much of anything. Reflect on Standard 8, academic success, personal well-being, and social and academic learning. I think under Component 1, effective and efficient management, we're supporting Miss Green by me trying to check on things and being a backing as a principal. This place is so small that I think I would be able to support her a great deal by, even though I'm not there all the time, staying in constant contact via email, letting her have my phone number so she can call for any suggestions, those kind of things. And by supporting Miss Green, she's not going to feel like, oh, I don't know where to go. Which avenue should I go? She should always have somebody to talk to, and that needs to be me. Promote collaboration with all parties on the IEP team. By myself, Miss Green, and Miss Taylor all being on the same page, we don't come in and have a long, drawn-out IEP meeting. We already have two parents who don't like each other. We already know in one of our situations that Carl's mother had said something just really, really bad to Carl's dad in front of everybody. And you could tell that the way that she reacted and the information we got from her body language and other things, that they're just not on the same page. They're not getting along. They're not talking. So we can't compound that by having just us on random levels. We got to go in together so we can make sure things are being done effectively and efficiently, because we can't control what the parents are going to say and do. And number 3, find a behavior specialist or related service provider as soon as possible. I think that's going to make things more effective and efficient, because that person can come out and maybe at times give Miss Green a break, because there's going to be days, because I've seen this, where Carl's not going to be able to go back to his regular classroom the whole day. Something's going to have upset him. Could be inside of school, outside of school. But Carl cannot go back until he's ready. And sometimes the related service provider or the behavior specialist will be able to take that pressure off of Miss Green. And that should make things run even more efficient so she doesn't have so much stuff on her plate. Promoting the social learning of all students. I think by removing Carl, we're going to allow the students to see a teacher without frustration. She'll know that Miss Taylor will know that we got her back, and she'll be able to warn somebody about Carl's behavior. We can remove him, and she can go on doing what she needs to do. And I think that helps the kids socially, because they just won't skip a beat. We need to provide Carl a place to go without all eyes on him. He's already said that he would yell at other students, stop looking at him, and that means he's frustrated. He thinks people are looking at him, and that really, really makes him anxious. And the next thing we're doing is keeping Carl in school as much as possible. Carl's done some things that other schools would suspend him for, but we're going to keep him there. And socially, that should help him. Other kids will notice things. They'll notice he's still there. They'll notice maybe that he's getting better, and that's good for everybody. And promoting the academic learning of all students. Carl can focus on his work when he's out of the room. If he's calmed down enough, he's not ready to go back yet, but he's calmed down enough, maybe we can get Carl some work to do, and he can focus on that. Maybe he can put his energy towards that. Miss Taylor can do what she does best, which is teaching all the students. Other students can focus on their work, which is where it's supposed to be at. They come to school to learn things. And then Miss Green can do what she does best, which is concentrate on teaching SPED kids, concentrate on behavior management, concentrate on getting Carl the services that he needs. Thank you. learned a lot from the class, and I appreciate it.